Hey you. You. Yeah. You. Yes. Are you tired of having too many products in your skincare routine that you just can't keep up? Tired of scouring through labels, reading and reading, trying to figure out what goes where in your skincare routine? There's so many products. What do you apply first? What do you apply last? How many times should you apply it? Sometimes it gets so confusing you don't even want a skincare routine at all. You need the Style and Beauty Doctor. She'll turn that frown around and break it on down. Just listen to all the gratitude from real clients. Thank you, Style and Beauty Doctor. Oui, oui. Merci, Style and Beauty Doctor. Hey yo, you did me a solid, Style and Beauty Doctor. Word is born. Thanks, yun. Hey guys, welcome back to the Style and Beauty Doctor on YouTube. And in today's video, I'm gonna break down a basic. Now, I know sometimes basic has the connotation of being whack, but here basic is a good thing. A basic skincare routine, and I'm also going to break down how to layer your skincare products. So if you finally figured out, okay, I need a cleanser, I need a moisturizer, I need a serum, but what order do I put things in? I'm gonna break it down for you, so keep watching. So here's the thing about starting a skincare routine. Be as basic as possible. Now, I know basic has a, you can catch a bad rap for being called basic here on these internet streets, but here basic is a good thing because if you're trying to start out a skincare routine, you don't want to get confused and, overwhelmed by all the options that are out there. So here's the 3 easy steps for a skincare routine. Cleanse, treat, and moisturize. And of course, during the day, you want to make sure that either your moisturizer has an SPF in it or you're applying an SPF on top of your moisturizer. Super important. I'm tired of fighting with folks on the internet about sunscreen. Wear it, non-negotiable, boom, bam, boom. So cleanse, treat, moisturize. So your cleanser is going to be a gentle cleanser that speaks to your skincare needs and your skin type. You don't want your cleanser to make your skin feel stripped after you use it. Like there's this whole big misconception that the skin has to be squeaky clean, and you don't want your skin to be squeaky clean because that can introduce lots of other problems. For one, if you have oily skin and you're constantly stripping it, your skin's gonna be like, yo, what's happening here? I'm panicking, and when oily skin panics, it produces even more oil. And then for dry skin, you definitely don't want to strip it because dry skin sometimes already feels stripped, so you want to, be nice to it, hydrate it, and give it some nutrients. So you definitely want a gentle cleanser for your skin type and your current skincare needs. Now the treatment step is going to be very specific to what your current skincare issues are. So whether that is, your skin is feeling dry, you need to hydrate, whether you have acne, if you have some dark spots that you want to clear, if you're looking to treat wrinkles and fine lines, so on and so forth. And if you're maybe, trying to treat a combination of 2 or more of those issues, that's what you are going to focus on when it comes to your treatment product. So not everybody's treatment steps are going to be the same. Then when it comes to moisturizing, now if I had a bullhorn, I would use it and scream it from the mountaintops, but all skin types need to moisturize, including oily skin. Now, some of you oily skin people out there are self-sabotaging. You're doing stuff thinking that you're gonna combat the oil, but what you're actually doing is you're making your skin confused and it produces even more oil. So you don't want to be counterproductive. Every skin type needs to moisturize, including oily skin. And there's a reason why the skincare shelves are overflowing with products, because there's a moisturizer out there for everybody. For your skin type, your current skincare needs, and then even for the season. Because if you live somewhere, like I live in New York City, typically we get 4 seasons, And typically, you know, I need to switch out my moisturizer at least twice a year. Sometimes I could use the same moisturizer for the warmer months. Sometimes I might need to change to something different in the summer. Then when it gets colder out, I definitely need to switch my moisturizer. And sometimes in the winter, depending on how cold it gets, I might need to, you know, switch it out and use something that's more hydrating and that's more protective for my skin. So that is the basic skincare routine. Now you might be thinking, all right, but what about all them steps? Because you know, you yourself, Danielle, had a chart on Instagram with all these steps and what do I do? So I wanted to cover a lot of playing ground when it came to skincare, because if I just put cleanse, treat, moisturize on a chart, like my DMs would be backed up all out the wazoo. What goes where? I have a serum, I have this, I'm gonna break it down. So let's go. Now the rest of this video can get a little layered beyond the basics, but the number one thing that you want to remember is that your skincare products in general go in order from thinnest consistency to thickest consistency. So anything that's like watery or, you know, kind of like fluid, those are gonna go on before you put on any kind of like oil, and then before any kind of cream. So thinnest to thickest, that'll keep you in line here. But let's get on to the other steps. So if you want to save this chart on Instagram, I'm going to link it below, and I'm also going to link to a blog post where there is a pinnable version. So for my Pinterest folks, you can also pin it, or if you're not on Pinterest, you can just print it out just so you can have it and hold it and adhere to it. So your first step in your skincare routine is always going to be to cleanse. It's gonna be quite hard to treat your skin when there's dirt, there's oil, makeup, pollution, you know, all kinds of gunk on top of your face. It's gonna be very hard for your skincare products to properly work if your skin has not been properly cleansed. Now, most people will probably cleanse both day and night. There are some skin types that may benefit from skipping an actual like cleanser step in the morning. Some people might just use a micellar water and wipe their face. Some people may just splash their face with water in the morning. It really depends. I personally like a good cleanse in the morning, and then at night I'll do a double cleanse, especially if I'm wearing makeup. So cleansing is always going to be your first step. So next step, toner. Now, toner is a category that includes lots of different types of toners. There are the hydrating toners, there are the exfoliating toners, which typically include an acid like an AHA, BHA, or a combination, or PHA. And then you have some of these like astringent type of toners that I personally don't like, but if it works in your routine, you know, who am I to tell you what to do? But the thing with toner is that there's some misconceptions about it. I myself, I don't really use like the hydrating or like what I would call like a regular toner in my routine. I don't think it's 100% necessary for all skincare routines. If you're using a hydrating toner or a regular toner and it's working miracles for you, you know, of course keep using it. But some people may be adding extra steps in that they don't need. So for instance, if you were using a toner because you think that the toner takes off what your cleanser doesn't, I think that could be an indication, and not just I thinking that. A lot of other skincare experts also agree that if you're using toner to kind of get what the cleanser isn't getting, chances are you may not be cleansing properly. You may want to look at what cleanser you're using. You want to check out my Are You Properly Cleansing video, you know, check that out. So another reason why people use toner is to hydrate the skin. Now that's something that I can get jiggy with, you know, a little hydration. Some people do find it very beneficial to have the toner step in, because when the skin's a little damp, it tends to be able to, you know, receive products better. You know, like you may notice that your products work better. But I feel that I can get that same kind of benefit by, you know, after I cleanse my skin and I, you know, kind of pat it dry and it's still a little damp. It's not saturated with water, it's a little damp. And then I put my next product on, which would be serum, which we'll get to. I kind of feel like I get that same benefit. But I'm not here to tell you not to use toner. I'm just saying, like, make sure that you're not using a step that's unnecessary and, you know, spending unnecessary coin, wasting time. Now, what I do also love is an exfoliating toner. This again can be something that's like a glycolic acid toner, the Paula's Choice BHA liquid, that would be also considered a toner. So these exfoliating toners would also be one of the first steps after you cleanse. So if you're someone who wants to use a hydrating toner and an exfoliating toner, I would say use the hydrating toner first and then use the exfoliating toner. But again, I'm talking in general, not everybody's gonna need these steps. So let's move on to step number 3. If you're still with me, hit that like button and let's move on to the next step. So now your next step on my chart is essence/serum. Now, you don't need both, but if you use both, your essence goes first and then your serum. So an essence is something that I would say was probably popularized in a lot of the Asian skincare routines. And essence goes after your toner step and is thought to help your serum work better. So you can kind of think of your essence as like the hype man. Like the essence would be the Flavor Flav to the Public Enemy, which is the serum. So the essence helps the serum out, but again, you don't need both. So typically essences have ingredients in them that kind of help to hydrate the skin. They may feel really nice. They may feel, you know, quite bougie to use. They might feel like extravagant. It may make you feel like you're doing good, like you're really doing your steps in your skincare routine. And for some, they actually do find some benefit to it, but it's not a necessary step. Now, serum on the other hand, which again is not necessary in every single skincare routine, but it's a great one because the way that serums are formulated, you know, they're very watery, they can be slippery, some of them might feel a little sticky. They are chocked full of nutrients, actives, and just like a punch. And because serums can penetrate the skin in a way that your moisturizer can't, a lot of times you're really getting like that like force of the product seeping into the skin. Now, serums can be for many different types of skin issues. So you would pick your serum based on the issue that you have. So there's serums that are for acne, there are serums that clear dark spots, there are serums that hydrate, there are serums that help to reduce the look of lines and wrinkles. There are so many serums out there. So pick your serum based on your skin type, whether you're normal, dry, or oily, and you would pick it based on what your skin issue is. Now, you can layer serums, and for some people, you know, especially the women of a certain age, myself included, you might benefit from layering your serum. But then if you're like, okay, I can benefit from it, but what order do I put it in? So I would say that the serum that you apply first is the one that you want the most benefit from. You can also alternate days or maybe use a serum, one during the day, one during the night. That's what I do. I use a vitamin C serum during the day and then my retinol serum at night. But also make sure that you're not doing, you know, the most, because, you know, here we like to say don't do the most. Because sometimes you can have a serum that multitasks. So you might be able to find a serum that can do more than one thing that you're looking for. Now, the next step is also something that can be debated whether you need it or not, but this is your eye serum, eye cream step. So if you're going to put these products in your routine, these are gonna go after you apply your serum, but before you do your moisturizer. So if you do now you don't need both an eye serum and an eye cream, but if you have both in your routine, your eye serum is gonna go first because remember, thinnest to thickest, and then you put on your eye cream. Now the reason why eye creams and eye serums are debated is that some people feel that they get that same benefit from whatever they're using on the rest of their face, and you know, obviously that can be true for many. But for me, I kind of feel like if you're looking for a targeted treatment, I do find that you want to use something that is made for the eye. Some can argue that some eye creams are just moisturizers in smaller packaging just to get your money. You know, some can argue that, you know, points may have been made. But I do kind of feel like if you're going to be using a targeted treatment for the eye area, that, you know, I feel a little bit better using something that's particularly made for the under eye area. Now, that said, don't get it twisted. Eye creams and eye serums can only do but so much for the eye area. If you're looking for a dramatic change underneath the eyes, that's gonna run you a trip to the dermatologist and might run you a couple $100 to, a couple $1,000. So if you want more information on Botox and, kind of see, I got a little something of Botox. I got it earlier this year. By now it's worn off because, the world, I was gonna get more. I was thinking about getting more, but the world is closed for now. Oh, outside is closed for now. And I also have gotten filler twice. So filler is definitely something that I think, like, for me, hands down, is one of the best things I've ever spent my money on. You can check out my filler videos, both of them. They'll go through the whole, like, you be in the doctor's office with me, getting injected. So make sure you check that out. But even with those, I still use an eye cream because the eye area needs the moisture, because the eye area does not get the type of moisture, that the rest of the face would. So I'm an advocate for eye cream and eye serum, but for some, they feel like they're getting that benefit from whatever else they're putting on their face. So that's that on that. Let's move on. So the next step is to moisturize. Now, as I said in the beginning, every skin type needs to moisturize, including oily skin. So the thing with oily skin is that it's kind of like your friend that worries a lot and does the most, it's just very dramatic. So when oily skin realizes that something's not happening the way it should, it starts to get real nervous, and it's almost like it starts to get the shakes, and it produces even more oil. So when you have dehydrated oily skin, which is an actual thing that can happen, your skin starts to produce even more oil to compensate for what it feels like is, a lack of moisture. Now, when it comes to moisturizer, obviously you're going to pick, as I mentioned before in the beginning, you're going to pick a moisturizer for your skin type, whether that is normal, dry, oily, or combo. I don't consider sensitive skin to be its own skin type, because you can have normal sensitive skin, you can have oily sensitive skin, you can have dry sensitive skin. So, and a lot of times I feel like people with sensitive skin just say they have sensitive skin and aren't quite sure what they're sensitive to. So it's, sensitive skin can, maybe I'll do another video on sensitive skin, and we'll get a doctor to talk about it, but that's down the line. But you are going to pick a moisturizer based on your skin type, your skin needs, and the season or the climate where you live. Now, that's super important because you can wear the wrong moisturizer for the season. So, for example, I live in the grand city of New York, where we typically get 4 seasons. Sometimes in a season we get 4 seasons. But I can't wear the same moisturizer that I would wear in the warmer months as I would in the colder months, because the weather, skin reacts to the weather, In the hot months, my skin tends to be oilier, so I definitely need, a moisturizer that's a little bit more mattifying. And then in the wintertime, when it gets cold and dry, I need something that's more hydrating, that's gonna give me more protection. So I actually have a blog post, and there's a video on switching your moisturizers for the season, so make sure you check that out. I will link it above and below, so check it out. There's gonna be a lot of homework for you in the description box. Make sure you check out the description box. Then, when it comes to your last step in your daytime routine, your last step in your skincare routine during the day is almost always going to be sunscreen. There is there's no negotiating. I ain't fighting with people on the internet about wearing sunscreen. If you don't want to wear sunscreen, that is between you and them billion-degree rays coming out of the sun. That's on you. However, sunscreen is a non-negotiable in your routine. There are many reasons why you would want to wear sunscreen, even if you have a deeper skin tone, because melanin, yes, it offers some sun protection, but not enough. If you were to measure the actual sun protection factor of melanin, on the deepest of melanin, the highest SPF is maybe an 8. Maybe you'll get to 12, but that's not enough. So you definitely need to make sure that you're wearing a sunscreen. The sun's harmful rays can cause so many issues for us, skin cancers. Although, people of color, we may not get skin cancer as often as our white counterparts, when we do get it, it progresses really bad because people aren't really screening us or checking for it. So put your sunscreen on. Also, the sun's harmful rays are one of the biggest breakdowns of collagen. That's the protein in the skin that keeps it snatched. So that's another reason why you want to put on sunscreen. Another reason why you want to put on sunscreen, a lot of the products in your skincare routine can make your skin more sensitive to the sun. So put your sunscreen on. And then for my boos, dealing with dark spots and discoloration that you're trying to fade, you're in a routine trying to fade it, you cannot wear sunscreen. But then you'd also be like throwing money in the trash because you're like a hamster wheel. You never, it's like the dark spots are gonna get darker. Put your sunscreen on. I don't wanna hear it. You know, you can leave a comment below fighting me over it, but I'm just gonna delete it and possibly block you anyway. So sunscreen during the day, no matter your skin tone, I don't wanna hear it. I've also done the dirty work of trying tons of sunscreens for you, both on this channel and in my blog, which I will link in the description box below. Then when it comes to moisturizers, you're going to moisturize day and night. At night is especially important because the skin goes through a self-renewal process and you want to give it some nice nutrients to aid in that process. And that's another reason why you want to take your makeup off, because it's like, you know, your skin's trying to do its best to give you new glowing skin, and you're gonna repay it by letting it pick highlight and contour from that you had on your face for 10 hours. So you want to make sure you take off your makeup and put some nice skincare on. And then of course your nighttime moisturizer is not going to contain sunscreen. As a matter of fact, sunscreen can kind of block some of the active ingredients that you might be trying to use at night. So, you know, no sunscreen at night, but sunscreen during the day. Now, a couple of questions that I got on Instagram about, you know, the order of products had to do with like acne treatment products and which step would the acne treatment products go in. Now that's going to depend on the kind of acne treatment it is. If it's something that's more like a serum, that's going to go on your serum step. If it's more of like a spot treatment, typically I would like to moisturize and then I'll put the spot treatment on. Because if I put the spot treatment on and then moisturize, sometimes the spot treatment can get, you know, there can be some interference there. It can rub off and, you know, we don't want all that rubbing off. So, you know, in that case, you can actually decide which one works better for you. If you want to moisturize first and then put the treatment, or if you want to put the treatment and then moisturize, you know, try it out in your routine and see how that works for you when it comes to that step. But again, typically, thinnest consistency to thickest consistency. Another thing that can be kind of, you can play around with the order is for prescription-based retinols. Now, prescription-based retinols, and you know, that's something I've talked about on the blog, so you can, I'll link that in the description box so you can read it. Lots of homework for you in the description box, by the way. But sometimes the prescription strength retinols can be, you know, a little irritating on the skin. They can cause flaking, they can cause dryness. So sometimes what you can do is, after you've cleansed your face, you may want to put your moisturizer on and then put the retinol on top of the moisturizer. Now that's not going to break down the way the retinol works, but it's going to give you your skin a nice little buffer so that the retinol doesn't feel so, you know, doesn't give you so much harsh effects of using it. And then after a while, you can kind of switch that step or continue to do that depending on how your skin is reacting to it. Then there are also products that you don't use very often, like masks and maybe some physical exfoliators, and you're like, okay, well, where does that go? So these kind of products, your masks, your if you're using a chemical exfoliator that you don't use daily, some chemical exfoliators you can use daily. Physical exfoliators, these steps are always going to go after cleansing. And then you also want to make sure that you're reading the label to make sure that you're not using a product too often or not often enough. So, you know, get in the habit of turning the product around, looking at that label and reading. So if you are finding this video to be very beneficial to you, make sure you hit that like button, you subscribe to this channel, and you turn on my post notifications, because this channel, we go deep into the skincare, and once outside opens back up, I have some cool things in my head that I would like to put into fruition, provided that outside opens up in a way that I can do so. So make sure that you are subscribed because you don't want to miss anything. So here are three things that you need to realize when it comes to your skincare routine. Number one is that it's basically 3 basic steps to cleanse, treat, moisturize, and then of course, you moisturize and add an SPF during the day, because sunscreen is so important. Second thing is your skincare products go in order from thinnest to thickest, and you have my chart to help guide you. But the third thing that you want to realize is that you don't need every single product out there in your skincare routine. You might see someone with a 15-step routine, and that might be beneficial to them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to follow that exact routine. As a matter of fact, I would advise against following someone's routine exactly step by step, because there may be things that you need to tweak, But on that note, I am going to have a video coming up pretty soon on skincare products that you might not need. So we'll talk about that. And I will see you fine folks in my next one. Until then, ta-ta.